My name's Kathrine. I'm here with Elijah, and we are up to no good. Cheers.
We met in high school.
Mm-hmm.
We bonded a lot because of music. You actually put me on to so many artists.
I made you, yeah.
Probably some of my favorite memories with you is just the concerts we went to. We met Kellen Quinn together.
Yeah.
I have that picture on my Facebook somewhere.
So many. So we met a lot of people. Didn't we? We met
The Mice and Men.
Pierce the Veil.
We did. Vic Fuentes.
Vic. I just remember him being so sweaty and smelled so good. We have a lot of good ones. I think the one I use the most is with like my relationships now. When people say they like me or something, or oh well I did this for you, I'm like, but you didn't learn my apocalypse type of love. You don't love me like learning my apocalypse, because I feel like I could be remembering this incorrectly, but I feel like I didn't tell you like this is the greatest song of all time. I was just like, man, that riff is just fucking great. Like
yeah, I learned it. I learned it solely to impress you.
Iconic. That's why I'm like, you don't love me like that though.
Yeah, plenty of good times with the house shows. The house show that we had here.
That was a good one.
Yeah, with Yubi, Christian Ayala.
I watched that video literally just for when I kicked them. When Christian and Yubi were moshing just by themselves, and they were getting close to us while I just, because they were getting close, so I just put out my foot and kicked them as hard as I could. So that was a good one.
You're pursuing acting right now.
So that's how I met my best friend Mary. Is we are in the same acting class, so we started at the same time. So
okay.
Our friendship is like the beginning of a new kind of life for me, and I like to think of it like that because she's just so great, and then the life I'm living now is so great, so it's just kind of nice how they kind of blended together. I remember the exact moment too when I was like, this is it, this is what I was going to do. I think I was 11 or 12. My grandparents used to always go to the high school, where in Port St. Lucie where I grew up. They would always go to the matinees of the high school plays and things like that, and yeah. My grandparents took me and my sister Ashley to Thoroughly Modern Millie, and it was a girl who was the lead, obviously Millie, and she was just everything. She was just everything, and I just remember watching it and knowing this is it. I didn't really know the aspects of theater, but I just remember watching it and being like, that's gonna be me. Like that's what I'm gonna do. And I wanted to go to that high school. I tried to go there, but then things happened. My family moved to Orlando my freshman year of high school. Dropping out of high school was probably the stupidest thing I've ever done, but that was one of the things that I did thinking with good intentions. My mom was sick and my sister was sick earlier, and my parents didn't have money, and in Port St. Lucie, growing up in Port St. Lucie, my parents had so much money. That year of all the hurricanes coming, wiped out my parents' business, and one thing after another. That's why we had to move to Orlando, so my dad could get a job here. He had a job opportunity here, so we moved. And my family was getting more stable with money, but it wasn't like both of my sisters' childhoods. Like both of my sister Ashley and Lauren had different childhoods than I did.
Yeah.
Because I think I was only like 12 when my parents lost everything. So I moved out thinking, which is so silly now as an adult, thinking this is one less mouth for my parents to feed. So I thought if I left, it would make my parents' lives easier. And that's when Ashley was in school at UWF, and she was the smart one. And so I thought, I was scared with money that if my parents had to support me or any idea of me going to college, that was less of an opportunity for Ashley. And if anyone was going to make it, it was going to be her. Mm-hmm. So I felt like if I just removed myself from the situation, life would be easier for everyone else. And once again, that's the stupidest thing I've ever done, because that wasn't the case at all. My parents would have rather me done everything with them, and so that's why I stopped theater and everything like that. Other reasons too, obviously. And then worked at the tattoo shop for years, which was a very learning experience. The guys at the tattoo shop joked that I was raised in a tattoo shop, because that's really, I started the job when I was 18 and then quit when I was 23. So joined Artsake, which is the school I go to. It's the studio I go to, and that has changed my life tremendously. It's just the greatest family. I already have the greatest family, but sometimes your family is in your blood. It's who you bleed for, and those people are absolutely everything.
Yeah.
So when I dropped out of high school, I started that full-time job. I moved across town to Dr. Phillips and started that full-time job at Atomic. And so I went to a school to work program. I went to school from like 7 a.m. to like 11, and then I worked at Atomic from 12 to 10, like 6 days a week at first during my apprenticeship. But yeah, I got my high school diploma.
You mentioned one of the things that you are terrified of is not being good enough, which is something I think a lot of people struggle with.
Absolutely.
How do you like navigate through that?
I mean, I don't think there's one path for anyone, or even me. You know, I don't think you ever like find your exact whatever works for you. You can try your best to figure out what works for you, but I think with Art's Sake, the school I go to, it helps so much. But little things. I mean, the lessons they give you, because it's not just like an acting studio. It really it teaches you a lot. One of the things for this question is a big thing they teach us is show them what they need, don't give them what they want. That's what it is. So a lot of times, even though what they're looking for and I am not enough from what they're looking for, it's kind of their strategy is to teach you, no, but you do need me though. Like whatever, everyone's so different. Everyone has their own niche. Everyone has their own something, and the world needs it.
Yeah.
Every aspect needs whatever you have to offer, you know, whatever you specifically have to offer. And showing people that whatever my weird quirk is, or, you know, things like that is exactly what you need, has helped a lot. I think it necessarily has to start with believing in yourself. It's easier said than done though, you know? No matter how hard you try, how do you ever feel like, yeah, that was enough? You know? Do you ever feel like you're enough?
I would be lying, you know, if I said that I did. But like I mentioned earlier, before we started recording, the friendships that I have and the people that really get to show their supportive side, or just their support in general, is what really helps me to remember, like, I'm doing something right, and even if I'm not, like, I'm doing something for myself, and the people that I am affiliated with or the closest to, they believe in me, so I need to believe in myself. Like, that should be enough for me to know, like, I gotta believe in myself. You know, the vast support that you have of the people around you should be enough to convince you otherwise. And I think there's a lot of power to that, because
Absolutely.
like, it's emotionally overwhelming. There's no one else like you. You gotta believe in yourself.
Yeah.
And that can be enough to, like, move mountains
Absolutely.
in certain situations, you know? You navigate through it together.
As best as you can, you know?
As best as you can with the people, the right people.
That's what I was saying earlier, like with surrounding yourself with
The best people.
the best people. That has changed my life so much. But it's kind of weird though, because I've also, I don't want to say discarded, but I have removed people. There we go. I've removed people from my life who have been my friend for like 10 years, 12 years, and deciding what I need and what's healthy for me, and is this what's best for me, and it's not. So I feel like that's a big thing, is surrounding yourself with people that only elevate you.
That's the word. Yeah.
I'm very biased about Mary. I think she's a godsend, but she's like, it's very weird to have a friend that's like, I don't feel good. She's like, well, what did you eat today? Did you sleep enough last night? Or think like someone who cares so genuinely, you know, about you.
And those are like very particular questions to ask too. It's not even about like what happened or
what's going on with
or whatever.
you,
It's like, it's about your actual well-being first. And that plays a huge role in all of that too. But that's something I think that we don't think about throughout the day.
Oh yeah.
You know?
And that's what Jim Carrey was actually talking about, that where how he was talking about mental illness. And he's like, I believe in mental illness. He's like, but at first you have to give your body the right nutrients, you have to give yourself rest, you have to put all these elements in there. Of course, if you're not giving yourself all of these elements, then you don't have a fighting chance. Yeah. So it's weird to have someone who actually cares about those minor elements, which you as a human should care about. But like, when do I think, when's the last time I went outside? You know, like, whoever really thinks about those things. Like, yeah, I walk to my car, but that's not being outside, that's not being in the sun, that's not
just
breathing
taking Earth in a little bit.
Exactly.
You made a comment the other day of like, you know me, I'm always in a relationship.
That's word for word what I said. Wow, okay, yeah.
How important do you think it is, you know, like, to have that time to yourself?
Before I had no idea. Now I know. Now I know. It's hard. So the biggest thing, like, what are you scared of, is not being enough. Yeah, it's hard to be enough for anyone else because everyone else has their own motives. Everyone has this. Everyone has that. So it's hard to be enough for anyone else. And I think it's even harder to be enough for yourself, because that's the truest form. Because at the end of the day, when you're in bed by yourself, or say you're 90 and you're in hospice and you're in a hospital bed, you're by yourself, you're left with your own thoughts. So to be enough for yourself then, it's a lot easier said than done. But I think being by yourself, like you asked, is
you get to learn a lot, you
absolutely,
know,
yeah.
about yourself.
I feel like a lot of times you learn things about yourself you like and that you don't like, and then that's when you end up with a situation. Am I going to change it, or am I just going to roll with the punches? You know, and then that turns into a different lifestyle and this and that. So I think it's very important to be by yourself. It's hard. That's hard to be by yourself and be okay with that. Be okay with by yourself, because at the end of the day, yeah, you're by yourself because it could be by choice. Absolutely. Let's say I'm not wanting to be with anyone, I'm going to be by myself. Yeah, it's by choice. But at the end of the day, at some point you want to be wanted by other people, and that's just human instinct, and that's hard. So it's not only your own thoughts of just trying to figure out who you are and who you are by yourself, but being okay with not being wanted and not wanting this. And that's a loaded question. That's hard. That's a good question.
One thing that I've learned about being in a relationship actually is it's very easy to get caught up, and it's very easy to lose sight of who you are, because sometimes you'll find yourself compromising yourself for the other person.
I think that's the easiest option.
Yeah, and it happens both ways, don't get me wrong. And so the moment that you do get to spend time with yourself, you kind of relearn things and habits, and you know, like, oh, like I actually like doing these things, and oh, I actually hate this show and going to downtown or whatever. And that's healthy because it allows you to like redefine yourself the way that you want to be defined, and like who you truly are, like being authentically you. Allowing yourself to have the opportunity to grow and just be reminded of, you know, who you are.
Yeah. It's needed. It's needed and painful, but needed.
And any human will probably find themselves saying like, that person deserved better. And where that may be true, it's not good to think those things, because that belittles ourselves. You're selling yourself short, and you got to remember that you're unique in your own way, and you're beautiful in your own way, and don't compromise for anybody. And you know, there are so many different situations that may trigger us in a specific way. It's not the other party's fault, you know, it's things that we just have to learn how to deal with and control in a more intelligent way. But it happens, and it's completely normal.
I think it's really hard to have an organic and truthful response, but have still, like, there is no same of organic and truthful and then like calm and collected. You know, they're somehow never traveling in the same boat. You know. Thanks for this. Thanks for making people look like people. I think we forget that all the time. I feel like we forget that we're all human.
The whole guitar broke, so it kind of just fell and I broke his guitar. And it was new. It was like, one thing with he only used it like twice.
Holy shit, she smells like heaven. Been best friends since we were 11. Oh my god, I like